how in college they talk about for every hour that you spend in class, you should spend so many hours doing homework and assignments and studying and all of that. The same thing applies when you're studying music. What the teachers here are telling us is that every student who's a music major is supposed to spend 2 hours a day practicing. Like if you play the flute, you're supposed to spend 2 hours on the flute. If you play the violin, spend 2 hours a day practicing the violin. And the teacher said that because he's a professional, he practices 3 hours a day. So for me, that means I'm supposed to be spending hours a day working on writing music because I'm majoring in composition. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working on getting up to that amount of time. But what it made me think about was our church musicians. People talk sometimes about church musicians and are they overvalued and stuff like that. But when you think about the amount of time they have to spend outside of the church service, practicing daily, weekly, they put a lot of time into doing what they do. And we always need to remember that. Sometimes people say, well, people that work in other ministries, they have to spend time preparing for what they do. Sunday school teachers have to prepare and different things. But a lot of us in those other ministries, we don't spend the amount of time that a musician spends preparing to do what they do in the way that only they can do it. And we need to remember and recognize and appreciate that. I know myself as a choir director, I spend a lot of time preparing for what I do in rehearsal before I ever get to rehearsal. I do think I spend more time preparing the music before rehearsal than the time that I spend in rehearsal. So the same idea applies, and we need to remember and appreciate our musicians, our music ministers for what they do with that. And also, if you start studying music, if you're trying to learn an instrument or if you're going to go to school to study music, you will be expected to spend a lot of practice time. You don't just get it in class. And if you're in the choir, you do want to spend some time before rehearsal, listening to the music, preparing, getting familiar with the music, practicing on your own so that you're ready when rehearsal comes and you're not learning everything from scratch. Yeah, practice.